So first, Happy New Year. I hope 2020 is a good year for everyone here. Thank you for joining us. I want to introduce the people who are standing with me because, as usual, they're the ones that do all the work and give the state all its success. Let me begin with Christy Fosberg, who is the Supervising Deputy Attorney General here at the Department of Justice, who deals with so many of these issues involving the environment. Yvonne Chi, Deputy Attorney General, who works with Christy, and Arsenio Mataka, who is the Special Assistant to the Attorney General, dealing with many of these issues involving the environment as well. Not in attendance, but also instrumental in these efforts, David Zanona, Supervising Deputy Attorney General, George Torgan, Deputy Attorney General, Rob Byrne, Senior Assistant Attorney General, Ed Ochoa, Acting Senior Assistant Attorney General. We are here as the Department of Justice using our independent authority to announce today's action, but we're here as well in partnership with Governor Newsom, California Air Resources Board, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and the Department of Water Resources, both of which are under the Natural Resources Agency for the state of California. Every day we see the climate emergency playing out in front of our eyes. We see unprecedented fires here in California, in Australia, and in the Amazon. We see rising sea levels and rising temperatures around the world. I think it's pretty clear to everybody we need to be doing something in order to tackle this emergency and to protect our land, our air, our water from further irreparable harm. And the courts have helped us in those efforts in the past. They placed a moratorium on federal drilling leases on federal public lands here in the state of California. A federal judge not long ago, within the last 5 years or so, ruled that the Federal Bureau of Land Management had violated the National Environmental Policy Act by failing to consider fracking's environmental dangers, and this court recommended that BLM take a, quote, hard look at the evidence. But now the Trump administration wants to reopen federal land in California to drilling. But they haven't fully considered fracking's environmental dangers, and they haven't taken a hard look, as the court requested, at the evidence. So when the Trump administration announced its plans to open more than 1 million acres of federal public land in California's Central Valley to fracking, we pushed back. We recommended they withdraw that draft proposal and prepare a new one based on the facts about fracking's environmental impacts. But BLM refused to look at the evidence, and they moved forward with their plan, a plan that is misguided and downright dangerous. It poses a real threat to Californians. It's a plan that ignores a growing body of evidence that points to fracking as a significant cause of water and air pollution and earthquakes. Opening these lands up to drilling and fracking will make it even harder for California and certainly the Central Valley communities that must live with this to be able to attain state statutory targets to reduce air pollution. And I think I speak for all of us when I say this state, the state of California, isn't looking to introduce any more smog, any more water pollution, any more greenhouse gas emissions, or any further risk of earthquakes. The Bureau of Land Management also used just a small estimate of fracking sites to hide the true environmental impact of their proposed plan. They didn't fully evaluate the project's impact on the communities and environment of Fresno, Kern, Kings, Madera, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Tulare, and Ventura counties. But the impact to those Central Valley communities would be significant. The Central Valley already struggles with some of the worst air quality in the nation. Here in California, we won't put our citizens' health and lives in jeopardy. That is why today we are joining with our partners, Governor Newsom, the Air Resources Board, Department of Fish and Wildlife, the Department of Water Resources, to challenge this fracking plan in court. We are suing the Trump administration once again for acting as if they are above the law. Much of the federal oil and gas activity in the state happens near some of our most vulnerable communities, communities who are already disproportionately exposed to pollution and its health effects. Adding more fracking to the equation would only make things worse. More than 95% of federal drilling in California is done in the county of Kern. Much of the county has not reached federal air quality standards set in 2008, or many of the state's ambient air quality standards. Excess pollution in this part of California, including the pollutants from oil and gas operations, will significantly increase the rates and the risks of asthma, heart disease, lung disease, and cancer for the people who call those places home. Opening up these federal public lands to industrial extraction operations means an increase in greenhouse gas emissions. That means an increased risk of wildfires, of erosion of our beaches, and of more smog. It means a greater likelihood that the health of our children and our elderly will be jeopardized. We are asking the court today to set aside the Bureau of Land Management's approval of their resource management plan for fossil fuel extraction and to block any further action. The risks to both people and the environment associated with fracking are simply too high to ignore. But that's essentially what BLM is doing. We can't, we won't ignore the facts and science when it comes to protecting our economy, our environment, and certainly our people. And we're taking the Trump administration to court to prove it.